Hey, welcome back to another Just 5 Minutes, and this one is Linux, whichever way you want to call it. So probably a lot of people realise I've been going to Microsoft Anonymous every week, trying to reduce my reliance on Microsoft. Well, partially, only kidding. But it is interesting, and I have done this many times over the years, is try to test out Linux, and a few things have cropped up over the last couple of years, of course. One being, if .NET is one of your main sort of languages, then of course you've got access now to full cross-platform sort of libraries. The whole .NET framework, of course, will run on Mac, Linux, obviously Windows, and obviously I've been in my safe zone, as it were, on Microsoft for a long time. So I've got a spare laptop now. It's an older laptop. It can't be upgraded to Windows 11 because of the TPS chip. I think it is the security chip. And I thought, well, okay, I bought myself a copy of Linux Format, and I was quite curious because I know there's some good distros or distros anyway out there, and I thought, well, there's a few that I've come across in the past, like Mint, I think, is probably one, and I really should go and revisit that. But essentially, I thought, well, okay, I'll have a little look through. And this magazine, they did a really good article about testing all these different ones. And obviously, the other main one that I've used is Ubuntu, purely because it just seems to work, have most of the things that I need, and it's quite straightforward. But before we get to that, on the tip of Microsoft there, let's have a little joke for today for the Microsoft world. So here it goes. Yeah, whoever stole a copy of my Microsoft Office, I will find you. You have my word. There we go. Anyway, now we've got that out of the way. So from this article, one of the sort of top distros that jumped out was Lubuntu, I think it is, L-U Ubuntu. It's meant to be light, and I didn't realise at the time. I mean, it's very good, no offence to it at all. And it installed perfectly fine on my old laptop, which was great. But I must admit, the one thing, and I know I'm going to get shot down for this with Linux or Linux, is it's just, obviously there's lots of distros, which is great, lots of choice, but there's so many different, like package managers, things like, is it a .deb for Debian or Debian format ones, or RPL, or this or that. There's all these other things, and it's really hard to know, especially if you're relatively new. I mean, if you're a developer and you've been using Linux or Linux all your life, then it's not going to be a problem. But I had loads of issues. I mean, it was using something called Snap to do the installs, and some worked, some didn't. I had to go to the command line and even to load .NET, okay, albeit I was trying to get the latest .NET 7 RC2, but still, it just seemed a bit, a bit of a developer's tool or a tech tool rather than, and I suppose maybe it would if you're doing coding anyway. But anyway, I ended up working with it. It was okay, but I must admit I switched back to Ubuntu. I think it's 22 point something version, and obviously the laptop I've got, even though it's quite old, it's got 16 gig of RAM. It's a reasonable Core i5, and I must admit, just the normal version of Ubuntu desktop works really well. And I must, I keep saying must admit, don't I? But anyway, I did load all the tools, like, I still use Skype, believe it or not. I loaded, Chrome, even though Firefox is there. But also I got down to installing VS Code, which was literally really straightforward. It was brilliant. And .NET was a breeze. So it's been really good to try that. And even from a Windows VS Code instance, I installed the remote SSH tools because I've got a Linux or Linux server hosted up in the cloud, and been able to, from pretty much anywhere, even on a Windows platform, using the remote the remote features, which maybe I'll do a podcast on at some stage anyway, but that allowed me to literally work on that as if it's just a remote machine. It was brilliant. It was a great experience, that so I could build on Windows, Linux, just literally just switching those environments. So, but that's what I have this week. All good, and we'll catch you on the next one.